Hi, Guitar Man Schilling here, and we're going to go on with our lesson number 10 today. Let me see here. We stopped last time. We were learning the sharp ninth chord. Now, by the way, first of all, I want to correct something right off the bat. You know, our ninth chord, we already learned it. Okay, this is the D ninth chord. Remember, here's our D root note on the 5th fret, 5th string, okay, with our second finger. So that's the root note of the ninth chord. Now remember, the sharp ninth I showed you was you add your 4th finger on the 2nd fret, in this case with the D sharp, sharp ninth. You put your 4th finger on the 2nd fret, 2nd string, 6th fret. Remember, cool chord. Okay, so now I want to term that a better way because it's too easy to get confused when you're calling out sharp chords and stuff, and it's a more proper name for it. This is a D7th sharp ninth. Now remember, a D ninth has a 1st, 3rd, 5th, flat 7th, and 9th of the scale. Okay. Well, when you're playing this D ninth, you've got all those notes in there. When you add that 4th finger on the 2nd string, 6th fret, that's your sharp ninth. Okay. So it'd be proper to call this a D7th sharp ninth, okay, and so forth and so on. When you move it up one, now your root note is still the 2nd finger, but now you're on a D sharp, okay. So D sharp 7th sharp ninth, E 7th sharp ninth, F, the root note, there it is, F 7th sharp ninth, okay. Okay, remember, we're still muffling the 1st string, okay. Now, if you, and by the way, don't forget our rule about when you play in the E chord, like an E ninth or an open bar chord, don't forget you can leave that E note ring out open because it's a good strong rock chord. Also with the E ninth and E7 sharp ninth, you can let that open E ring out. But if you move it anywhere else, muffle the 6th string on out because you can't let that open E ring out. It'll be a bad chord. So, at any rate, now let's move on. Let's go back. So, let's go back and let's take the G. Let's go back to our G bar chord because we want to keep learning chords for a while here. Okay. Let's go back to the G first form G bar chord. We've already learned it. Now remember, you lift your 2nd finger, you got a G minor. You lift your 4th finger, you got a G7th. You lift your 2nd and 4th finger, G minor 7th. We've already learned all that. Okay, so now, G minor 7th. Now, if you take your 7th chord, lifting the 4th finger from the first form bar chord, and this is our root note G, so we're on the 3rd fret. Now, if you put your 4th finger down on the 1st string, 5th fret, we've just added the 9th to the chord, okay, 9th to the scale. So what is the 9th of a G? We're on the G chord. What is the 9th of the G scale? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've already learned the scale. The 9th is an A. Well, conveniently, there's an A right there on the 1st string, 5th fret. So when we add that note, we've got our G 9th chord, okay? A, there's the root note on the G, right? Just like with the first form bar chord, our root note is right there on the 6th string. There's our G note for our G chord. Okay? G ninth, there's still our root note G. G sharp ninth, A ninth, A sharp ninth, B ninth. Okay, how do you use it? Let's go back to our 1-4-5 progression, which we've already learned. Let's go back to a G progression. Remember, C is the next chord. Back to G. Okay, so when you're using the 9th chord, you can go C, G. Now you're going to the C, back to the C, except go to the C ninth. So you see what we've done? 1-4-5 progression. It goes G, C, D are the main chords in that, are the chords in that progression. We're going to go G, C, G. Now we're ready to go back to C, for example? C ninth. Remember, using the first form bar chord, I just showed you how to make the ninth out of it. So C ninth would be up on the, where you're barring on the, on the 8th fret. That's where you have your first finger barred, and that's a C note. And then back to G. And then D, C, G. Okay, so that's just one example of how to use that ninth. But it's another version of a ninth. Now, we already learned, there was a C ninth. We already learned a C ninth down here. And you might say, but listen to it. There's the same notes in the chord. But listen to this C ninth. And listen to the tone of this. A little bit brighter, a little bit higher. It's higher up on the neck, Same notes though. But they sound different. They sound a little different. So that's where you want to know different forms of the same chord, so you can find, you have options. Which C ninth do I want to play? What B minor do I want to play? All the chords. So that's the uses of it. So, you can work a little bit with that G ninth, that form, okay? And then, run it on up the neck and get familiar with the names. Again, you already know your first form bar is formed off of that note. That's the root note. G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. We've already learned it. Okay, we've already learned that stuff. So now when you're adding your ninth, it's the same note. You just add the ninth to the chord name. D ninth, G sharp ninth, A ninth, A sharp ninth, B ninth, C ninth. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's move on. So we've got, let's go back to let's go play our D ninth. And we know the D7, D7 sharp 9 is right there. Okay, now we know that if we lay our first finger down on the, our fourth finger down on the first string, 6th fret, we've got the D7 sharp 9 sharp 5. We've just added the sharp 5th to it. Okay, so that's a cool chord to play around with. So once again, take your D9 chord, then go to your D7 sharp 9, adding your fourth finger. Now at this point, we're just muffling the first string. But once you lay your fourth finger down and add that, we're adding that sharp 5th. So we got our D, in this case, here's the root note D. We got our D7 sharp 9th, sharp 5th. Okay? And I'm just calling those the names of the notes we're adding in the order that I added them. Okay, you could just as well call it a D sharp. You could call it a D 7th sharp 5th sharp 9th. But regardless. So anyway, another cool chord. You can run that chord right up the neck again. You know that. Okay, and the names change with the root note. There's the root note. D sharp, D 7th sharp 9 sharp 5th. D sharp 7th, sharp 9, sharp 5. It starts getting confusing, but at least you know. Whether you choose to use the names a lot of these chords, at least you know them. You know how they're constructed. You know more about them now. Okay, so at any rate, let's keep moving. Let's go on to you know your C, your second form C chord. Okay, it's played like this. Now, what happens if you lay your... Now, by the way, whether you play this barring your third finger across the fourth, third, and second strings, or whether you play it using your fourth finger barring those strings, it's up to you. It's irrelevant. Whatever you get more comfortable with. I can tell you this: when I add the first string in, okay, when I add, which we don't normally do, when we're playing a C, second form bar chord, we're generally muffling that first string. We've already been all over that. Well, now if you want to add it, okay, you lay you can go up and lay your fourth finger and bar all those, the fourth, third, second, and first strings, to make it a sixth, to add that sixth in there. So now we've got a C6 bar chord, and there's our sixth, the sixth of the scale. So what is the sixth of a C scale? Let's go up to our C root note on the sixth string and play our scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, what is that? That's an A. D, E, F, G, A. Okay, so There's our A, we're adding it right there, the sixth of the C scale. So now that is, instead of being a C bar chord, now when we add that, it's a C6. Now hear the difference? Hear that 6? Okay, so that's another cool chord. And remember, it works just the same as the rest of them. There's your root note. Remember, on our second form bar chord, the 5th string, what we're putting our finger, what we're barring on the 5th string is the name of the chord. So that's a C note, it's a C chord, and that's a C6. So C sharp 6, D 6, D sharp 6, E6, F6. You remember all that stuff, okay? So that C chord is another, that 6th chord is another, it's another avenue to get another tone out of, to add to your, you know, your array of sounds. All right, so let me see. Where are we gonna head after that? We've got our, that's a good stopping point, I think, for right now. We've got a few minutes left on this lesson. Let me see, where else to head to? Now, with our, let's go back to our, let's go to a D ninth, okay? D ninth, there's a root note, A, B, C, D. That is a root note of the 9th chord, so D ninth, okay. So, when you bring your 4th finger 2 frets higher than your bar, which is up on this, in the D form, it's on the 7th fret. When you add your 4th finger on the 1st string, 7th fret, okay, you're adding the 6th of the chord, 6th of the scale in there. So now that becomes a D ninth, add 6, okay? So you can write it, if you're writing it, you can go D9/6, you can go D9, add 6, because we're adding the 6th of the scale to it, okay? But it's a D9/6, okay? So we're adding the 6th of the scale. So that's a D scale, remember? Let's go up to the D scale. D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so what is that note? It's a D, E, F, G, A, B. Okay, so that's a B note we're adding there. Well, let's go back to our D ninth. We're adding a B. There it is again. B note, so it's a D ninth/6 with the 6 in it, okay? So that is another chord. Now, how do we use it? Okay, let's go back to our 1-4-5 progression. So that's going, using it. 6, so we're going from a C ninth/6 back to a C ninth. Okay, so if you were to add that note in by mistake, you'd say, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but it sounds good. Well, now you got a little bit behind it. You say, I know what I'm doing. I'm adding that 6 in there, and I'm also recognizing the sound. Because the more you play these, and the more you add those notes in, and you go, oh, that's that 6th sound. That's the 6th of the scale ringing out. I hear it. Well, you know, the more advised you get on music, you know a little bit more about what's going on and what's happening. So that's why I'm teaching you some of this stuff. Now, you don't have to lock all this in at one time. You can come back and grab some of it later, but it's all a part of music, and you want to get a lot of this stuff down. Let me see. There's also another, let me see, the minor. How about the minor, using your bar chord and adding the 9th in? So it would be a minor, add 9th. So let's take our minor chord. Let's go back to our G minor. Let's play the G minor chord with the 2nd and 3rd fingers. Okay, 3rd finger on the 4th string, 5th fret. 2nd finger on the 5th string, 4th fret. So instead of playing it like that, you're going to play it like this. That's going to allow us to easily add the 9th of the scale in, which is down here on the 5th fret, 1st string. And you play it with your 4th finger. Now what did we just do? We took a G minor chord, our 1st form minor chord, G minor, remember G sharp minor, A minor, A sharp minor. Okay, G minor, we're adding the 9th. So that would be technically a G minor, add 9th. Now it's not a G minor 9th because we need the 7th in there. remember? In a ninth chord, there's the first, third, fifth, flat seventh, and ninth. Okay, in a minor ninth, there would be the first flat third, fifth, seventh, flat seventh, and ninth. Okay, we don't have the flat seventh, so this is a G minor add ninth. Okay, we're adding the ninth of the scale, and a G sharp minor add ninth. A, remember here's a root note. A minor add ninth. A sharp minor add ninth. B minor add ninth. Remember there's a root note. B, E, F, G, A, B. Remember? G minor add ninth. B minor add ninth. Okay, so any rate, that's pretty much it for this lesson. We've gone far enough, and that's enough to work on. I know I've confused you enough. Hey, this stuff gets a little technical, but don't give up on it, because before long, if not already, it's all going to start gelling, and you're going to go, I get it. I know where this guy's taking me, and I know more about theory than when I started this whole mess, and there's a lot more to learn. So, any rate, good luck to everybody, and stick with it.